I really believe people with ADHD are very observant, heightened aware. We recognize, we know we're self-sabotaging. People with ADHD, I don't
Yeah.
think, I mean, it's debatable, but I think that we all know we are accumulating regret, we're accumulating shame when we're doing those things, but we just try not to have that thought present. I feel that one of the biggest struggles with ADHD is the negative self-talk and the perception. If our perception around the things that we need to do is negative, if our self-talk around the work that we need to do is negative, we're going to be easily burnt out.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Rise 41 podcast. My name is the usual Gonzalo Gonzo Herrero, your usual host. And today I have the privilege of having a fellow ADHD person that understands how our crazy brains work and how to make them work. My guest today is Coach Heil. He's an ADHD specialist coach, and he's helping people stop fighting their brains and start learning how to actually work with them. And we'll talk about focus, productivity, routines that stick rather than fighting the ADHD tendencies, energy management, everything. And hopefully we'll get to know the coach, how he came about doing this, and what it is that he does. So, Al, with that, welcome, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me start throwing questions at you, and you just tell me what you think. And like I said, no editing, nothing. There's nothing that we can't say here on this
Cool,
show.
cool.
It's a
Yep, I
safe
got you.
space. It's
I'm excited.
all the good things. All right. So the first thing, let's start with like your origin story. If you were a superhero, right? This would be your origin
Mhm,
story.
mhm.
So when did you first realize ADHD wasn't just a label, but something that was actively in part of your life, like something that was maybe like affecting your life? Did you ever have that moment of clarity? How did that come about?
Yeah, for sure. My moment of clarity was when I made an impulsive choice to jump off a wall, and I broke both of my ankles at the same time. So
Whoa. Okay.
I broke both. This is about 13 years ago. I was playing horse with a friend. You know the basketball game horse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
And
Uh-huh.
I had a good idea to jump on top of this about maybe 10, 12-foot wall and then take the shot off of the wall while I was jumping off. And I didn't think about my landing, and I broke both my ankles. And had to get an
Oh man.
ambulance, and I was on bed rest for almost 6 months. Had to learn how to walk again, all that stuff. So that impulsive decision gave me a massive moment of clarity, and it gave me time to be by myself, to think about who I was and think about where the direction my life was going. So that's basically where it all started. And I was could consider that rock bottom ish, but I was just in a position where I either had to change or stay stuck at this position, this person that I no longer wanted to be. So that was kind of a blessing in disguise, breaking both my ankles.
So would you say, would it be fair to say that HDAD before that moment was, like what it looked like, maybe a little bit of chaos, impulsiveness,
Mhm.
obviously, and just being inconsistent and the things you were doing? Would that be kind of like the vibe, what kind of led you to the,
Yeah,
and
for
then
sure.
and then of course this
Yeah,
incident?
for sure. I'm the type of ADHD that's very hyperactive and very much always looking for that next dopamine. So
Yeah.
before I was really into fitness, I was really into self-sabotaging, and I was a drug addict for a long time, into opiates, smoking a pack a
Uh-huh.
day, drinking every day, constantly getting high and just messing around with friends and just doing nothing with my life. So I was just
This is such a common story. That's me. You described me in a nutshell. Like in my 20s, especially, when I was like way younger. That's crazy. And we didn't know, right, that we were chasing dopamine. It's what we were doing.
Mhm.
We were just like, no, this seems like the cool thing to do, and it feels cool. And that's it.
Yeah, and
But
like the thing was like I never really felt normal. And in middle school, I actually, got expelled for just being the class clown. I was just, I was always just trying to get validation. I was always trying to
yeah,
make people laugh.
sure.
And when from the funny thing is when you get expelled from a school, they put you in an alternative school with all the other bad
Hmm.
kids, and that's how I kind of became a drug addict. And then when when I got into drugs, I was like, wow, I actually kind of feel normal. It kind of made me feel normal because I was doing drugs with other people, and we all had this like common thing that we were doing together, and we felt it together, and the drugs was something that gave me, it just made me feel more normal, and,
Right.
I was in that lifestyle for a while until I broke my ankles.
So it's almost like self-medication, really, at that point, is what you're doing, like, in a very kind of primitive way, I guess, or
Mhm,
intuitive
mhm,
way,
mhm.
rather than doing it, with, like, medical supervision and
Exactly,
all
like, just
that, so
feeling normal, like, a lot of people just take Zoloft or antidepressants or antipsychotics or whatever
sure.
it is, just trying to feel normal, and that's kinda how I was because I just felt so different, with my brain and how I thought and just a lot of multitude of things in that hanging out with a group of people all doing drugs together, all self-sabotaging together just made me feel like I fit in.
There was a camaraderie, which was missing.
Yeah.
So, because ultimately we are social creatures, and like you said, like you, we want to feel like we belong to a group, that we have our friends, that we have that approval, the social approval. I get that. Um, so let me ask you another thing, because I would love to hear your take on this. What's the biggest misconception people have about ADHD and discipline? Because I've got some thoughts, but I would love to hear yours.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you, and we might agree or not agree. I'm not a super disciplined person. Um, I don't even really like the word discipline. I just figured out how to like doing the things that get me fit. I actually enjoy this. If because to me, discipline, like the definition of discipline is like to do what you hate like you love it. I don't hate any of this. There's no aspect of my fitness journey or my self-development that I hate. I like waking up early. I like doing hard things. I like restraining myself from vices that make me weaker. So it's like I like doing all of the things that make me better. So to me, it's all a mindset shift in the way that you approach it and you perceive it. That's my thought.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. So what you've done is you've found the systems that work with
Hmm.
your brain. It's you found the hack, if you will, of rather than I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna grind and do this hard thing. It's like, no, let me enjoy the things I do, and then it's not a grind. It's actually makes me feel so. I don't know about you, but I get this where like if I skip my workout and my routine, that actually makes me anxious rather than the other way around. You know how most people, like regular people, can go like, "Ah, I'll skip the gym today because I've got things to do," and they don't feel bad about it. They're like, I'll just do it tomorrow, no big deal. To me, that's like inconceivable.
Yeah, I
That will
agree.
throw me for a loop,
I mean,
right?
yeah, I agree.
Okay,
To me, it's just like I would feel anxious if I stopped taking my meds. Going to the gym, having these proper habits, it's like my medication. So if I skip, if I don't do the things that make me feel good today, then of course I'm going to have
huh?
more anxiety riddled thoughts. I'm going to be, yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah. So what was harder, do you think, getting in shape physically or rewiring your habits to work this way mentally? Or did they both kind of come together? How did that work for you?
Um, yeah, we're rewiring the habits first. I mean, because I had to realize that
Okay.
I was already in a routine that wasn't serving me. People, whether you like it or not, everybody has habits. Everybody is consistent in
Yes.
certain areas of their life, and that consistency is, making them worse potentially, making them better. So I had habits of doing drugs, having negative self-talk, not keeping my word. I had all these negative habits, and I realized I was doing these negative habits consistently. That I was a very consistent person. People think people with ADHD aren't consistent. No, we're very consistent with our negative self-talk, with our
Yeah.
procrastination. So we just have to actually change that consistency into something positive. So to me, everything started with changing my habits, changing my self-talk, changing my perception around things that were giving me anxiety.
Gotcha. So what would you say if there's one mistake that you find with ADHD, or people with ADHD, a mistake that you see repeatedly that people keep making,
Hmm.
uh, and guarantee that kind of guarantees that they stay stuck in that loop. Would you say it's not recognizing the pattern? Is that the would that be the biggest mistake that most ADHD people do?
Maybe I'm gonna be honest. I really believe people with ADHD are very observant, heightened aware. We recognize, we know we're self sabotaging. People with ADHD, I don't
Yeah.
think. I mean, it's debatable, but I think that we all know we are accumulating regret, we're accumulating shame when we're doing those things, but we just try not to have that thought present. I feel that one of the biggest struggles with ADHD is the negative self-talk and the perception. If our perception around the things that we need to do is negative, if our self-talk around the work that we need to do is negative, we're going to be easily burnt out.
Gotcha, gotcha. And that makes sense because you reinforce what that you hear, and if you hear yourself
Mhm.
saying the negative things over and over and over
What was your
again,
question again? I don't know if I
I
fully
mean, it
answered
just
that.
makes
Sorry.
perfect sense. So if there's something a mistake that you see people ADHD people do like like consistently that stops them from progressing,
Yep.
if there's a pattern or something in particular that
To me, it's the mindset. Most people with ADHD,
mindset.
we overthink the negative scenarios. So it's like, what if this happens? What if that happens? And
Yeah,
I try to get people to shift their mindset to be like, even if this happens. So think about
right.
it. If we just have that mindset shift where they're just like, what if I don't make it? What if I don't reach my goals? What if? Okay, but if we could just shift our mindset and be like, even if that happens, I'm still going to show up and figure out how to be proud of myself. Even if that happens, I'm still going to love myself. Even if this worst case scenario that's highly unlikely to happen happens, I'm still going to figure out how to love myself. Even if. So I just
I
feel like,
love that.
yeah, I
I
just feel
love
like
that.
it's a mindset shift. People with ADHD are inherently negative. So we have to actually do the internal work to not be so negative around things that are coming up inside our brain.
So as a coach, let me ask you this. It seems to me like for a lot of people with ADHD, it's really hard to get like you and I have managed and figured out how to get fitness to be part of our lives. It's an integral part of our lives and our well-being. Why is it why do traditional fitness plans fail people with ADHD so hard? What because that's your specialty, your lane. You are very successful at helping people with ADHD.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
what is it that's different? What is
Well,
it that
because most people,
traditional coaches don't see?
yeah, traditional coaches are focusing the majority of their efforts on exercise and nutrition. Okay, we all know exercise and nutrition. The blueprint is very simple to get in shape. The blueprint. Like I can I can tell you're a bodybuilder. You're very in shape. You know that the blueprint. You know
Yeah.
the blueprint to get leaner, to build muscle, to get stronger. It's really not that complicated. I mean, as you get more advanced, it can get more nuanced. But if you just want to be healthy, be fit, look like you work out in a t-shirt, the blueprint is not that difficult. So we have a lot of coaches need to realize that what's difficult is our brain and our negotiation with ourselves. What's difficult is our lack of self-development, our self-talk, our overthinking, our overanalyzing, our wanting to give up, our wanting to. So the difficulty as the people I feel like are focused on too much on strategy and not enough on mindset. Because we all know anybody who is fit, anybody who is actually fit, we all have this same thing in common, which is we have a positive mindset. We have some type of mindset, and no matter what, if you do keto or fasting or vegan, there's a billion ways to get fit. So, and and I'm sure with a bodybuilding approach, you guys want to more optimize things, but you got to kind of admit that you can get fit doing anything. Keto, CrossFit,
Yeah,
kettlebell workout.
absolutely. I mean, these are all just tools in the arsenal. These
Yeah,
are tools that are available to us.
yeah.
We
So
just
when
have
I
to figure out which tools work with us, you
Exactly.
know?
So when I work with my clients, we try to find the path of least resistance. A lot of people with ADHD, they look at
Got it.
they look at bodybuilders. Okay, I got to start doing a 6 day a week split, meal prep, track every macro, weigh all my food, and you're looking at this strat. Even though you might think that strategy is the most optimal, it might not be the most optimal for you because your brain's not going to be able to handle that. We need to find what is the path of least resistance because if I can get you consistent for 3, 6 months to a year, it doesn't matter what the strategy is, you're going to get in the best shape of your
Yeah,
life. So,
for
a lot
sure,
of fitness
for sure.
coaches focus so much on strategy, and I honestly believe strategy is bullshit. So that's my approach.
Okay, all right. Okay, or that hyper focus on strategy. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
yeah, it
and
makes
we could talk
sense.
about I love talking about this. So this specific topic, just because I've helped people lose over 200 pounds and we'd never step foot in a gym. So there,
Wow.
people I do believe that there's a misconception in the fitness industry where people think strategy matters. And I really don't think strategy, but if you're trying to be like an elite bodybuilder competing on stage, of course strategy matters at that point. But if you're just
Yeah,
trying,
yeah, and that's so that's and that's like 1%, like of the population. Like that's not the like you said, the being fit is one target. Now, being a competitive bodybuilder, high level or whatever, especially once the higher level you get, the more it narrows, right? The
Mhm,
more
mhm,
it's like a logarithmic scale of difficulty,
mhm.
you know.
And
But to be
bodybuilding is an
fit, you're
extreme
right.
sport. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that.
It is. And the other thing and I make sure to for people to understand this, like bodybuilding, being a gym bro, just being like kind of like big and that's one thing. But competitive bodybuilding is an inherently extreme sport that can be actually harmful if you're not very, very careful. Because you can take it to an extreme, between extreme nutritional practices, contest prep,
And yep,
playing around with compounds, those people that
yep.
choose to
And
go
I
in
have a
the
lot of
enhanced
friends.
realm,
Yeah, I have a
all
lot of
of
good
these things are
friends.
risk.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have a lot of good friends. Sorry, I'm an interrupter.
yeah.
ADHD. Uh,
No, no, go go for it.
I've
So
I
am
have a
I. Let's do it.
I have a lot of friends who are bodybuilders, and they're in crazy shape, and it's very mind-boggling how great in shape they are, but they still have body dysmorphia, negative self-talk. So in my mind,
Yes,
if you're on your fitness journey and your number one priority is losing the most amount of fat and building the most amount of muscle, you're creating a worse mindset because you're so focused on aesthetic physical results. I try to get my clients to show up. The reason why we're showing up is for our mental health. The losing fat and the building muscle is a byproduct. The getting stronger is a byproduct.
gotcha.
If our main focus is getting stronger, losing fat, building muscle, we're never going to be okay with ourselves. We're never going to be feel like we're enough. So
Yeah,
a
because you're
lot,
always going to be focused on that destination rather
mhm,
than the path that you're actually
yeah.
walking.
But if we just show
And
up just to feel good, just to be proud of ourselves, we're gonna get ripped and jacked as a byproduct.
right, right. It's again, it's a mindset, it's a viewpoint and mindset shift.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
oh, I love that. That's pretty amazing. So now let me ask you some fun stuff. One of the reasons I found you is like you, I realized like why is it that at 8 o'clock at night I need to eat something sweet because I need dopamine? And it's a dopamine quest to get the snacks and all that. And you have created probably hundreds at this time of videos that show little versions of snack food that somebody might consider like, treats and such, but in a healthy way.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing, like what
Well,
you've done with that. Is that something that you teach your clients? Is that how did that come about?
Well,
How
to
did
be
you
honest,
figure that
yeah,
out?
yeah. To be honest, they came about because of my personal story is that I kept on trying to get in shape. I would be able to have a good breakfast, eat a good lunch, have a great dinner, but at the end of the night, I needed something, and I could, and it was coming to the point where I was like, I was so consistent throughout the day. And at the end of the day, I would just go eat a thing of Ben and Jerry's and it would just ruin all my progress. So I had to figure out a way to create something that was super sweet, easy, that I would get a bunch of dopamine from, but also would be aligned with my goals. Because once I was able to make snacks at night that actually kept me on track, that's when I started seeing my abs. That's when I started seeing the bicep vein come in because it was so hard to fight with myself because I wanted that dopamine so bad, that sweet treat so bad. But I can now make these sweet treat snacks. It's become a science where I always have these sweet treats readily available, and I get my clients to make them too. Because when we have those, and they're almost just as good as the real thing, we get double the dopamine. Because when we eat it, we don't have to have that guilt to be like, oh, if we even, I'm off track now. So
That's right.
it started
I
with
hadn't
my
even
own
thought of
journey
that.
and
You're
trying to
right.
figure it out for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's definitely one of the super cool things that I find in your Instagram channel, in your posts, is that
Thank you.
constant ability to figure out a way to like turn it into something that's healthy and good and positive. So most definitely. So let's see. Um Couple rapid fire questions just to like kind of wrap this up a little bit and see where we go from there. So, can you, if you had somebody in front of you and they asked you, "Hey, can you give me 3 things I can do today to start winning, with ADHD?" Could you give them like just 3 quick tips?
So, the first quick tip is to, yeah, of course, it's gonna sound like redundant, but to start super small if you're first starting out. And start with the habits outside of the gym. You know, a lot of people with ADHD, we're so excited to get in shape that we start hitting the gym. We start doing things in the kitchen with nutrition, but we don't have the habits in place like drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, not being sedentary, eating enough protein.
A good point.
All of the daily habits need to be in place first. So that's like the first bottleneck. Because I work with a lot of people who are like been on their fitness journey for decades, but they don't have the habits in place. So it's like you're consistent without the results you want. So that's the first thing that people need to get locked in on is the habits outside the gym. Yeah, and I could keep going off on that, but we're
Yeah,
just
yeah, give me 2 more
okay.
rapid
So
fire,
while we're
whatever pops into
when
your
a
head.
client first starts with me, there's like a month onboarding process of us building these habits outside of the gym. While we're building these habits outside of the gym, I make my clients match their self-talk with their actions because a lot of coaches will tell you what to do, but they don't tell you what to think. If you're in the kitchen meal prepping and your thoughts are anxiety riddled and you're hating it, you're rushed, you're habitually constructing someone that associates pain with that task that's making you better. So we need to change
Yeah,
the way we think while we're taking the action. That's the most important thing. So while you're on that walk,
this is genius.
while you're drinking that water, you need to match your self-talk with your actions because over time that you will cultivate dopamine in your brain and eventually look forward to doing that thing. A lot of people who first get started, they just don't want to do it. And they're so used to the cheap dopamine. They're so used to video games and jerking off and smoking weed. They're so used to the quick, easy dopamine. So
Yeah, yeah.
we need to slowly rewire our brain to get dopamine from things that we don't even want to do right now. And it's a process.
Yeah, it's like people forget. People forget that the dopamine is when it's the pursuit hormone, right? So the pursuit itself should give you the dopamine after you do something that's worth doing,
Yeah, for
hunting
sure.
that, back in the day, hunting down that mammoth, like
Yeah, for
you get
sure.
the dopamine after you kill the mammoth and start cooking it, that kind
Uh,
of thing.
yeah, I'll
And like you said, yeah, that was really a great point that I make with some of my clients that the quick dopamine, this doom scrolling and all that, man, it's just so easy. It's just so easy and
yeah,
so
yeah, and
and
then
so easy to just get in that loop,
the
you
main
know.
thing the main thing about my whole philosophy is like all we have to do with people with ADHD is do less things that cause regret and more things that make us feel proud. So to me, like if the doom scrolling causing regret is telling yourself that you're going to start on Monday and then you never start week after week, cause regret. All of these things that we do and say and think potentially can cause regret. So the more that we can try to nip that in the bud and do less things that cause regret, more things that make us feel proud, we're just going to naturally get in shape, naturally become a better version of ourselves by just doing less things that we regret, more things that make us feel proud.
I love it. I love it so much. So, all right. So let me ask you this before we go. If somebody wants to work with you, what's in the future for you and how does one go about contacting you? And by the way, I will have all this information for the viewers. You'll see it in the comments below.
For
You'll
sure.
have all this information that Al gives us.
Thank you. Thank you. So check out my
Absolutely.
Instagram. And just so you know, my big platform is Facebook. I just hit 215,000 followers on
Oh
Facebook.
wow.
What you can do is go to Al Hyle, that's ALHYLE Fitness, and you could hit the link in my bio. You could schedule a free consultation, or there's a couple options I have. I have a free ADHD starter kit that people who are unsure how to start, people who are not ready to work with a coach. There's a free digital ebook and video that you can purchase on my link tree to get started. And I also have a cookbook now with 370 recipes that he was just mentioning, all the sweet treat stuff. All of my recipes are super easy to make, yummy, and they're going to help us with our goals. So you could
I gotta
schedule.
buy that. I gotta download that sucker
Yeah, get it.
for
I'll
sure
hook you up. I'll
because
hook
I've
you up.
tried a couple of the recipes you shared and they're great. So
Nice.
I'll be
Thank you.
getting that for
Hey,
sure.
next time you try a recipe, tag me on your
Absolutely.
story or post.
We'll do. We'll do for sure. I will do that for sure. Just so you know, you don't know this, but so I have 3 kids. One of them is gluten free. He has celiac. So I've noticed that a lot of the things that you put there are actually gluten free and perfect for him. So it's a double whammy. Like we both, he's my son that we did a bodybuilding show together for the first time last year.
Nice.
So
How old's your
yeah,
son?
it was, he's 28, he's a young man. He lives with autism and Down syndrome, and he did the things, man. He did the nutrition, he did the contest prep, he did all the things, and he got on stage and did it. So everything I do is uh, kind of somehow always dovetails with what we do for him, right?
Mhm.
Because he's in great shape, he's healthy, he's happy, and
You think that
and so
physical
many of these things.
no, that do you think that physical health
Uh-huh.
of him being consistent with the fitness and nutrition has definitely crossed over into the mental health?
For sure, for sure. Absolutely. Like his nutrition now, he's better functioning. He feels better. He looks better. His attitude is better.
Mhm.
And that's just the nutrition and exercise.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
I mean, I
awesome.
hate to say it, but it's like you said, it's simple. It's the tools are simple. We know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
I would
just
I were to say, like,
doing
if I were to
it.
give you $1,000,000 to get in the best shape of your life in 6 months, you'd have so much dopamine, you'd have so much motivation, you'd people would figure it out. But people are lacking
Yeah.
the dopamine, they're lacking the motivation, and they're in their own way. Our job as coaches, I feel like, is
Yes.
not to offer a strategy so much, is to get people out of their own way so we can follow a strategy. People are in their own
Right.
way.
Remove those obstacles so they see their way through.
Mhm,
You know.
exactly,
I
exactly.
love it. I
Yep.
love it. Well, thank you, Al. It has been an awesome half hour with you. I
Yes.
look forward to like doing this again, maybe in the future. We'll do like an update show. Maybe we could talk some more ADHD stuff. Especially for, there are so many people. I realize now that people in my generation, I'm a little bit older than you, I think. We sailed the seas of ADHD with nobody telling us anything about anything.
Mhm.
Just they let us raw dog life
Yeah.
with ADHD. But now, thanks to people like you, people with ADHD don't have to do that. They actually have, methods, systems, uh, people who know how to work with in order to improve their quality of life and be successful. So, again,
100%.
thank you so much. All right, everyone, you know what to do. It'll be in the comments underneath. Contact the coach. Get with this man if you need help because he will get you there. He will get you fit and he will get you sorted out. And more importantly, he'll get you the positive mental attitude that you need in order to be happy and succeed in life. So, again, Al, thank you so much.
Thank
All
you for
right,
having me.
everybody, have a good one. Until the next one.